So A Beautiful Dark is my debut novel. It's my very first novel out there, and this is my very first tour. I'm really excited to be here, and especially in Colorado because that is where my book takes place. So the genesis of the book, as Jeff said, I work in young adult publishing. I'm an editor. And a couple of years ago, when the book came to me, I was an assistant at HarperCollins, and I was seeing a lot of submissions come in and reading a lot of unpublished books, and I was sort of thinking to myself, like, what would my ideal submission be, and what's my ideal young adult book? And I was talking to a friend and sort of just like generating a lot of ideas and thinking, what are the things that I love in like pop culture and YA books in general. And I was like, I love an epic love story. I was that kid that was like walking around just sort of like waiting for that epic love to find me in high school, and daydreaming and writing a lot of angsty poetry and listening to a lot of music and sort of trying to teach myself guitar. And so like that was something, and I was really into Buffy growing up, and like it's one of my favorite shows of all time. And I loved like how they were real. They were so real and so relatable, and like had such great dialogue and so funny. So it's like definitely humor, and I'm really drawn to stories of like extraordinary, like normal people in extraordinary situations. And so it all sort of came together for me. I was really lucky to have an opportunity in high school to spend a summer backpacking, actually in Colorado, not far from here, and it just changed my life, and it was just this amazing experience. I fell in love with the area, and I knew that like this book, that I had to set it here. And it's about a girl named Sky who's turning 17, and her parents died when she was 6 in a car accident that she survived. So she's gone through life sort of nose to the grindstone, really buttoned up, like really like kind of a serious girl, and very focused on her future, and wants to go to college, and is just very determined to like live her life the way that she's planned it out for herself. And she lives with her adopted guardian Aunt Jo, who was her mother's best friend. So when the book opens, she's turning 17. It's the night of a surprise 17th birthday party that her friends throw for her against her will. And these two mysterious boys show up, and they get into this big fist fight, and they sort of shake everything up, and it turns out that they know something about her parents and about her past, and they hold this key to her true identity and who she really is. And it turns out that she's sort of the axis of this angelic battle that's been raging for millennia, and the future of the universe is in her hands, which is a lot for a 17-year-old to have to deal with. But yeah, I just like, I had this image in my head of these big swoopy wings with mountains in the background, and that's really where A Beautiful Dark came from. So this is at the very, very beginning. It's during Sky's party, and she's kind of like a serious girl, and she's pretty insular, and she hates surprise parties, and her best friends know that. And so every year they throw her a surprise party just to piss her off. So this year is no different, and she sort of reaches this point in the night, she's had a little bit to drink, and she's just like kind of overwhelmed, and she needs to go outside and take a breather. So she goes outside. I snuck out the front door. They're at a local coffee shop in town. The cold air swallowed me whole. It felt good, revitalized me. Out here, it was quiet and peaceful. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, enjoying the alone time. When I opened them, the full moon stared back at me, lighting up the mountains below. Hey. I whipped around, embarrassed at being caught having a moment of reflection. Someone was standing against the wall of the building behind me. I could see the outline of a guy's tall, sinewy frame, but his face was obscured by the shadows cast by the awning. Oh, I gasped. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. I turned towards the door. No, stay, he said. It was getting too quiet. He stepped into the light. I'm not used to living so close to the mountains. I think they create a sound buffer or something. Our eyes met, and something in the way he looked at me made me pause.
The blackness of his eyes was magnetic, and something strange flickered through my own in response. It was the weirdest feeling of deja vu. It was dark where we stood on the street, but what moonlight there was, shone on his face, exaggerating the definition of his cheekbones and illuminating his smooth olive skin. His short hair was so black that it was hard to tell where he ended and the night began. "You're Sky, right?" "Yeah," I admitted, tearing my eyes away to look back at the mountains. I didn't want him to catch me staring. Did I know him? He didn't look familiar, but he seemed to recognize me. Maybe he'd heard someone inside say my name. "Hiding from my own party. I'm such a winner." He sized me up. "You don't strike me as someone who would avoid a good time, so there must be something more to the story. Anything or anyone specific you're hiding from?" "Nope," I said. "Nothing." "Nothing?" His tone was playful, like we'd known each other all our lives and shared secrets. "Or everything," I admitted, trying not to smile. He laughed, and the low sound echoed across the empty street. My stomach twisted. Calm yourself, Sky." I never reacted this way to guys I'd just met. I was usually the cool and collected one. It was Cassie who was boy crazy. "So do you make a habit of ducking out of your own parties?" he asked. "Only when they're thrown for me against my own will." "Do you make a habit of lurking outside other people's parties?" I shot back. Without question. He grinned, showing off an adorable dimple. "You never know who you'll meet." We stood on the silent street for a while, at an impasse, just watching our breath escape in clouds of steam into the night. I wanted to keep talking to him, but my brain felt stuck. "You really need to stop letting Cassie empty her flask into your drink," I thought. "I should go inside," I said finally. "They're going to wonder where I disappeared to." "What'd you wish for?" I turned to face him again. "What?" "Your birthday wish," he said, closing your eyes, blowing out the candles. "What did you wish for?" For some unknown reason, warmth rushed up my spine, flooding my cheeks. Why did so innocent a question seem so intimate? "I must have forgotten to make one," I said, realizing as the words left my mouth that they were true. "It's not too late," he said. "You've still got half an hour to change your life." I looked at him. What a strange thing to say to someone you just met. Maybe I don't want to change my life. You wouldn't change anything at all? My mind flashed to my parents, of course, but wishing for a way to feel closer to them was impossible. "No," I said, "not really." "Well, I hope that works out for you." I turned back towards the door, feeling like I'd missed the point of the conversation somehow. "I'll see you around, Sky," he said, as I walked back inside. Happy birthday.
Nice.
Well, in Beautiful Dark, Sky has a friend named Ian who sort of always had a crush on her. And this isn't in the book, but when I was originally writing it, I was thinking they probably hooked up at one point, and then she kind of shot him down afterwards. But yeah, that's not in here. May have happened. Someone who'd read my book, she was 9, and she was like, "I wrote a sequel, do you want to see it?" And I was like, "Yes, too." But it totally made my life. It's like fan fiction, yes.
So cute. Do you want to see it?
There's a scene in A Beautiful Dark that's one of my favorite scenes I've ever written in anything, where Sky is sitting on her porch with Asher, who's one of the 2 mysterious boys, and she's sitting kind of curled up on his lap in this Adirondack chair, and they can see the mountains and there's the moon, and they have a blanket kind of pulled around them, and she has this feeling where she's like, this feels like home, and that to me is the most romantic. I got goosebumps when I was writing.